As I'd mentioned in previous videos, you're going to have at least 40 simulations that you'll have to complete during this semester. So let's go and now take a look at how we're going to understand which simulations to do, how to access those simulations, and how to complete them. Then in the following video, we'll talk about how to report the simulations in Blackboard. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the week beginning, and again I'm going to use this week I call the example week. And what you'll see is you will see an announcement in an example week that talks about the tasks that you need to complete. Now this is also going to be in the class syllabus, so you can pick this information up either in the syllabus or during when I talk about the week beginning. Now in this case, if you looked at the videos on the multiple choice question practice sets, you remember that we were to complete 5 MCQ practice sets from a series of different categories by January the 1st. Now we're going to look at the second task here where it says complete simulation number 91 by January 1st, 2017. So now I know what simulation I need to complete. And if there was multiple simulations, it would obviously give the simulation numbers. So the simulations are located in the Surgeon CPA Review module. So again, I'm going to click on the access to that module from Blackboard. And in this case, again, I'm going to log on, launch the site. And we arrive at the landing page for audit and attestation. Again, always make sure that you're on the correct tab. There are 4 parts to the Surgeon CPA Review landing page. One is regulation, one is FAR, one is BEC, Business Environmental Concepts, and the last one here is auditing AUD. So make sure you're on that section. Now in order to go to the correct simulation, what you need to do is go to underneath study session again. You need to go to customized study, and that's going to take you to the customized session landing page. Now in our last demonstration we were doing multiple choice questions. We were using the objective questions section of the customized session landing page. Now we're going to change that to simulations. So I'm going to click on that, and now you see that the simulations box is highlighted. And again, what I'm going to do here is questions that are selected from, and I'm going to pick by number. So questions that are selected by number. I'm going to click Start, and with that it will ask me what question number, or in effect what simulation number do you want to attempt. Now you can either do it by the counter and count up through simulations, or you can simply type in the number, and remember that was simulation number 91. So let's put in 91, and now I hit OK, and that should take me to simulation number 91. Now before I go on with this simulation, I do want to point out that you have 3 boxes at the top left hand corner. One is if you want to open a calculator, you can open the calculator. If you want to open a spreadsheet, you can open a spreadsheet. And of course you have your right arrow box that when you're done with the problem you click on that. Now this is a report I'm going to spend a little bit more, simulation I'm going to spend a little bit more time on, because this is an excellent example of one of the major changes to the CPA exam, where rather than simply looking at a bunch of multiple choice questions, they're reducing the number of multiple choice questions and increasing the number of simulations. And the simulations are no longer simply calculation fill in the blanks. They're going to be requiring you to be able to synthesize information from different sources to uh, solve a problem. And if you'll notice right here, we have something called review report, which is the actual problem itself. And then behind it, we have something called exhibits. And if you take a look back here, these are the exhibits that may be pertinent to this particular simulation. Okay, and I'm going to show you those exhibits right off. Document 1, and that document 1 is a partial notes to our financial statements, to this company's financial statements, called Tally Toy Shop, and it talks about how we compute inventory. And then we have a partial engagement letter where the CPA sends basically an engagement letter which represents a meeting of the minds between the CPAs and the client as to the CPA's services and what they will do on this engagement. You're also given a copy, a partial copy of the Tally's Toy Shop, its management representation letter, which is required in many cases, in many audits and many reviews, where management has to make certain representations regarding the financial statements. Also, you're given what we call a copy of the, at least a portion of the copy of what they call SSARS, or Statement on Standards for Accounting and Review Services. And the information here are the standards for creating basically at least partial standards for reporting on financial statements. This is not an audit, it's a review. So this talks about some of the items that have to be in this case, in the accountant's review report. So you're given all of these documents, and all of these documents are going to be pertinent to what you're going to be doing in your simulation. So again, I'm going to spend a few more minutes on this just to make sure that you appreciate how the simulations are changing. So in this case, we have a CPA firm that's reviewed, not audited, but reviewed the financial statements. And you're going to find out a review and an audit is different, okay? So the CPAs basically have reviewed the financial statements of Tally's Toy Shop for the year 9 and 8. And they brought in an assistant, the CPAs brought in an assistant and to draft basically the review report that the CPAs got to issue after the end of the review. Now it says here, using the information provided in the documents under the exhibits tab. So again, those exhibits are going to be extremely important to integrating and determining whether the information on this audit report is pertinent or not, or correct. Okay, revise a draft review report by clicking on each segment of underlined text below and selecting the needed correction. So what we're going to basically do is go through each element of items that need to be reviewed, and you can see they're all highlighted, and you need to determine, as the person who is reviewing this engagement letter, whether there needs to be changes or not. So let's go ahead and start off with the first item here, and I'm going to basically go through the detail and show you how this works with the exhibits. Okay, in this case I click on Accountant's Review Report, and the question is, do I change this, or what do I do to this if it's not correct? So I'm given a number of options. I can leave in the original text, Accountant's Review Report, or I can simply get rid of the title, Accountant's Review Report, and put nothing in there. Or I can call it the Independent Auditor's Report, or the report from the Independent Auditor, or the Independent Accountant's Review Report. Now, if you had a fair amount of knowledge on SSARSs, you'd probably already know the answers, so you could probably skip the exhibits in this particular case. But let's say you don't know. So you're going to have to now sift through the information in the exhibits to determine what type of report is actually being performed. So let me cancel these answers out, and let's take a look at the exhibits. And if we take a look at document number 1, that really has nothing to do with the report itself. And in this case now, we're told here, we have been engaged. You have requested that we perform a review. And again, that's an extremely important term because that is different than an audit. And the rules and the report formats are totally, or I shouldn't say totally different, are different depending upon whether it's an audit or a review. Okay, now we still don't really know what type of title we need because it doesn't tell us in the engagement letter. The partial management representation letter isn't going to really refer to anything that we're doing as the accountant. Okay, then we go on to document number 4, and that's the SSARS clarification recodification. And it talks about reporting on financial statements, and underneath that, the auditor's review report should be in writing. So we know the auditor's review report should actually exist in writing. Okay, now the written review report should include a title. So it should include a title that includes the word independent. So we need to make sure the word independent is in there and that it is a report of an independent to clearly indicate that it is a report of an independent accountant. So armed with that information, let's go back up here to this first line and look at our choices. Okay, the first thing is the accountant's review report. It doesn't say independent. We know that it has to say independent. Okay, accountant's review report crossed out. No, we're told that it has to have a title. Independent auditor's report. No, because it said independent accounts report. We're not performing an audit, we're performing a review. So it is not an independent auditor's report. Report from the independent auditor. Again, it's not an audit, so we're not acting as an auditor in this case. And the last item is independent accountant's review report, which is exactly what that statement in the SSARS statement was indicating. So we'd select that and click OK. And now you see that the line has been changed to independent accountant's review report. Okay, now we're going to do one more of these just so, again, we understand how this is working. So the question is because, okay, we have reviewed the accompanying financial statements of Tally's Toy Shops, which comprise the balance sheets as of December 31st, year 9 and 8, and the related statements of income and cash flows for the years then ended. Now we have to determine whether or not statements of income and cash flows is appropriate. So again, let's take a look at the exhibits. And remember, we have 4 exhibits we have to choose from. So right away, you should understand, again, knowing that if the accountant creates an engagement letter, the accountant has to basically say within that engagement letter what type of service they're providing. In this case, it's a review, and the financial statements that are being reviewed, and that's composed of balance sheet and related statements of income, changes in stockholders' equity, and cash flows. So those are according to the partial engagement letter, those are the services that we're performing for this accounting review. So we go back up to this review, and we take a look, and it says, okay, statements of income and cash flows. Now that isn't complete. Do we eliminate that? No, because we have to provide the review. Statements of financial position, changes in equity. No, that still isn't inclusive. Statements of income, retained earnings and cash flows. No. The last item, statements of income, changes, stockholders' equity, and cash flows. That's what I would select. Okay, and again, you can see that the now that the independent accounts review report now says and the related statements of income, changes in stockholders' equity, and cash flows. Now, what I'm going to do is go through each of these additional items and simply select some random changes. And I'm doing this to speed up the process. That promulgated by the Okay, then substantial assistance, we'll analyze that. Material modifications, we'll try that. And the last one, weighted average, sounds good. We'll leave that the way it is. One moment again, there's a slight glitch here. Okay, that was my fault. So now all the items that have been, whoops, sorry, I didn't. Limit assurance, material modifications. Okay, so now I've made all the changes, and now that I am, I've made all my changes, I can go back now to the button that basically says I'm done. I'm going to click on that. I click on that, and it's going to ask me, have I done everything I need to do? And the answer in this case will be okay. And now the system is going to grade my work. And in this case, I get a report out that says question number 91. I scored 80%. The time I took was 14 minutes and 1 second. Now this report shows I've done question number 91, and on this particular session I scored 80%, and the time took me again was 14 minutes and 1 second. Now, in order to get credit for completing a session, you have to have a score in excess of 75% or greater. In this case, I got a score of 80%, which means I have exceeded the 75%, which means now I could submit question number 91 with an 80% score for credit for completing question number 91. Now, if I got a score of less than 75%, I couldn't submit question number 91 for credit. However, I can retake simulation number 91 again, or as many times as I need to bring my score up to 75% or better. So if you get less than 75% on a simulation, it doesn't mean that based upon that you won't get credit. You'll redo the simulation until you do score 75% or greater. Remember, in this case, we're not trying to punish a person for not getting a score of 75%. We're asking the person to do a little additional studying and practice to get themselves over that 75% threshold. Now, if you want to go back and do an analysis of the problem itself, all you got to do is click on either the simulation number, the score, or the time taken, and it'll take you back to a detailed listing of what you got right and got wrong on this question. Okay, now in this case, there are two frames. There's an upper frame and a lower frame. We're going to concentrate on the upper frame for a few minutes. So I'm going to draw down the lower frame. And what you're going to see here is all the different items that I have chosen within the report, and if it's in green, I chose the correct answer, and if it's in red, I chose an incorrect answer. So in this case, it shows you everything I got correct, and then also anything that I got incorrect. Now, what I can also do is, based upon that, I know I got two items incorrect. The first one is, and reviewing any financial decisions made by management. That was one of the statements I left in there. What I can go is I can go down to the bottom frame and take a look And here, what it said here, I should have just crossed out everything that was written in here. It says, okay, and assessing any significant estimates by management, and the answer is no, I shouldn't even put that in there. What you can see now is I have number 3, and with number 3 I can go down to the bottom of the audit, or the audit review report, and you can go down to number 3, and here was choose the option below. In this case, it was to delete the text and assessing any significant estimates made by management. And then you ask the question, well, why was that incorrect? And the reason for that is this comment itself should be deleted. Document number 2, which is on document number 2, the partial engagement letter states that a review engagement includes primarily applying analytical procedures to the financial data and making inquiries of company management. Okay, there's no mention of assessing any significant estimates made by management. So then you'll understand why that portion of the review report, as I answered it, was incorrect. Okay, the last item that was wrong was where I said inventory costing, where they changed from LIFO of the inventory costing, whereas it previously used the weighted average method. So again, I will take this lower box and take a look where it refers to the weighted average method in the report. Here it is right here. And it should have used, what it's saying here is, whereas it previously used the first in first out method. Now what I need to do then is I'll go to box number 10 below and try to understand why it would be FIFO. Okay, I take a look at number 10, and what we see here now is it should have been FIFO, and the reason for that is document number 1 in the partial notes of the financial statement, it shows in note 4 that Tally's Toy Shop used the first in first out method of accounting for inventory in the years prior to year 8. So with that, that is the end of our, when we click the forward button again, it'll take us back to the results of our session. And in this case, it was it's not session, but our simulation number 91 with our score of 80%. This is the information that you also need to keep note of, saying that, okay, I know I was able to get 80% on question or simulation number 91, and it took me 14 minutes and 1 second. And with it, that's the end of our presentation on taking simulations. Again, thank you for your time.